poor girls turn me on.
I think that
The poorer the girl, the more attracted I am to her. It's against my character to say such a thing because poor girls don't turn me on. No. Nedu told me that he owns Honest Bunch podcast. So he said I'll have to pay a certain amount, 5 million naira. That he's giving me the option of I have to say what he tells me to say. He now said I have to mention the celebrity's name to make the thing go viral. He specifically mentioned VeryDarkMan.
Prestige family, welcome back. If you're just joining us, you missed a lot in part 1. But don't worry, I'll give you a quick recap before we dive deeper into the real lessons from this entire Nedu Wazobia Mr. Nigeria saga. After this video, you can go back and catch up. In fact, you need to do that. At this point, this is no longer just about Ugo Nwokolo, Nedu Wazobia, or even VeryDarkMan. It's about understanding the power dynamics in media, relationships, social influence, and how one wrong move can change everything. So a quick refresher. Mr. Nigeria, Ugo Nwokolo, went on the Honest Bunch podcast and said something that made the internet explode. He claimed that poor girls turn him on. Before he could even finish his sentence, the whole internet was dragging him like Lagos downfall drivers drag steering. Brands distanced themselves. Social media came for his head, and he found himself in a downward spiral. Later, he claimed that Nedu Wazobia, the host of the Honest Bunch podcast, manipulated him into saying something dumb so the episode would go viral. Not only that, but he also revealed that Nedu allegedly charged him 5 million naira just to appear on the show. Nedu has since denied all of that. But now, in the middle of all of this, Nedu himself was facing serious allegations from VDM, VeryDarkMan, who accused him of demanding sex for roles, accused him of 65 million naira fraud. The pressure became too much. Nedu stepped down from the podcast as a host. And just when we thought the story was over, content creator Lucky Udu also came forward with his own claims. Came forward meaning he goes into VDM's DM, accusing Nedu of pressuring him into participating in a messy podcast episode. So, Prestige family, we have a full-blown media scandal on our hands. And today we're going to break down the real lessons from all of this. Because if you think this is just about some online drama, you're not seeing the bigger picture. Let's get into it. Lesson number 1. In media or any form of relationship, honestly, it's all about control. First and foremost, let's address the fact that in the media world, control is everything. Whoever controls the narrative controls the power. But what do I mean by control? Right? Not controlling people, but controlling narrative. Ugo went into the podcast thinking he was going to have an open, honest conversation. He didn't realize that the podcast had its own agenda. He thought he was in control of his own words. But what he didn't understand was that his words were being shaped, packaged, and positioned to create the kind of content that drives engagement. The point here is agenda. And let's be honest, controversy sells. The Honest Bunch podcast is built on conversations that spark debate. The more people argue, the more views. The more views, the more money. So whether or not Nedu actually told Ugo to say something dumb, the reality is that the entire media game is about positioning people in ways that will bring attention. And this is where people like Ugo fall into traps. They don't understand that media is not about truth. It's about perception. It's about how things can be framed. So, Prestige family, here's the first question I have for you. Do you think it's fair for media platforms to manipulate guests to create viral moments? Or should guests be responsible for their own words? No matter what, let me know in the comments. Lesson number 2, the price of attention. Now, let's talk about the price of being in the spotlight. Ugo wanted fame. He wanted recognition. He called it, he wanted egalitarian, but okay, whatever. And he got it. But he didn't realize that when you step into the public eye, your life is no longer yours alone. Every word you say, every move you make, every mistake, you will be judged. This is something Nedu knows very well. Never mind Nedu's moral standards. He has built a career in the media space, and he understands that public attention is a double-edged sword. One day, you're loved. The next day, you're the villain. It's happening to him right now. For years, he was the one holding the mic, asking the tough questions, putting others in the hot seat. Now the mic has turned against him. Now he's debunked a lot of the stuff, but it is what it is. So here's my second question for you. Do you think people in the media industry truly understand the price of fame? Or do they only realize it when it's too late, when they've entered Yawa, right? So drop your thoughts in the comments. Lesson number 3, social media outrage is selective. I'm just spelling them out for you. Let's be honest. Prestige family, the internet picks and chooses who to cancel. One person can say something reckless and get away with it. Another person says something similar and suddenly their entire career is on the line. We've seen celebrities do far worse than what Ugo said and nothing happened. But for some reason, his own case became a national topic. Yeah, for a moment, for a while. Why? Because social media outrage is not about justice. It's about timing, mood, and who is being targeted at that moment. It's all about just the moment. One day it's Ugo, the next day it's you, the next day it's Nedu, tomorrow it could be anyone else. So let me ask you this. Do you think social media outrage is truly about accountability? Or is it just a game of who gets caught at the wrong time? Let's discuss in the comments. Lesson number 4. VeryDarkMan's rise is a case study. Let's talk about VDM. This guy went from being an unknown voice on social media to one of the most powerful internet figures in Nigeria. In Nigeria, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere. And he did it using one thing: consistency and controversy. Right? He positioned himself as the voice of truth. We did a whole live session on that. Someone who exposes injustice and corruption, and now he has built a massive following. But here's the thing. When you build a brand based on exposing others, you also make yourself a target. Right now, VDM is on top. But if history has taught us anything, is that the same internet that builds you up can bring you down in 1 second. So, my final question to you. Do you think VDM will be able to maintain his influence without eventually becoming a victim of the same game he's playing? Let me know your thoughts. Prestige family, at the end of the day, the media space is not for the weak. It's not for victims or people who enjoy being the victim subconsciously. If you enter without understanding how it works, you'll be eaten alive. Ugo learned that the hard way. Nedu is currently learning it. Lucky Udu is observing it. Yeah, right. He's need to go collect. He's not the collect already, right? And VeryDarkMan, only time will tell. This is true for all of them. But one thing is certain: if you don't control your own story, right, with emotional intelligence, someone else will control it for you. Now, before you go, hit the like button, subscribe, turn up your notifications. This conversation is just getting started. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. I do have a part 3. This is major, okay? I have a part 3 on this one, okay? So look out for part 3. It's very, very important. I will be right back.